Hello, welcome back to my channel Lomzy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how I made this off-shoulder crop top with gathered sleeve. If that's what you want to learn, continue watching till the end to see how I made it. It's actually very simple and is beginner friendly. So make sure you watch till the end to see how I'm going to draft the pattern, the bodice pattern. Let's start with this tutorial. To make this, I'll be using this African fabric. I have here 2.5 yards. You can use 3 yards if you're on the plus size. I shared a poll on my community tab and also on Facebook for you guys to choose the particular design to make for this tutorial, and you guys chose this one. And this other one, some people also chose it, and it's almost a tie. What I would do next time this kind of a thing comes up, what I would do is I would prefer to choose the people that make comments on my videos. Those people are the people I will give preference to. The two designs are the same thing, it's just on the sleeve, and I know it's because of the sleeve that the people are choosing number 2. This channel just turned 20,000, so because of that I'm going to use that celebration to make the tutorial to number 1 and number 2. If you still want me to make the tutorial to number 3 after watching this video, drop that in the comment section and I will do that for you. Just because of this celebration, next time I'm going to be preferring the choice of people that drop comments in my comment section. I want to use this opportunity to thank all the people that made this channel to grow up to this extent. We have turned to 20,000 subscribers. That's a whole lot. Thank you. I appreciate. To cut this wrap top, first we're going to draft the bodice pattern first of all. After drafting the bodice pattern, then we can go ahead and transfer this to the fabric and cut out from the fabric. So first of all, let's draft the bodice pattern. So first I'm going to get the length of the wrap top. I want it to be 20 inches. That is because I want to cover the belly button. So I'm going to take 20 inches and I will square this out. Next, I'm going to take the armhole length. The armhole length I'm using is 9 inches. I'm going to mark it here. After drafting this, I'll show you guys how to measure for your armhole depth or how to determine your armhole depth. So after drawing this, the next thing I will do is to get the neck width. We don't need this neck width, but it will help in drawing out the curve of the armhole curve. So the width of the shoulder is 15 inches. I would divide that by 2. What I have is 7.5. I will mark that 7.5 here, and then I will also mark the 7.5 on the armhole length, and I will connect this. Next, I'll go ahead and drop the shoulder sloping with 1.5 inches. I will mark it here, and then I'll get the neck width, which is 3 inches, and mark it here. I'm going to connect this shoulder sloping to the neck. There are different ways to know the length of your armhole. So let me say, after dropping the shoulder to 1.5 inches here, so from this 1.5, to know the amount, you have to divide your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever you get is what will be from here to here. So in some cases you might have some fraction. You have to approximate that number to what the nearest number. So for me, let me say my own is 34 inches divided by 6 will give me 5.6. I'll approximate that to 6 inches, then plus 1.5, which will give me 7.5, and from here to here is 7.5. If you add the 1.5 to it, it will be 9 inches. That's how to know the length of your armhole. Another way I do that in my course of fashion designing, I have noticed that the shoulder width is always the same thing with this armhole length. So that's another way to know it, or else you take the measurement from your body. So on this armhole length, I'm going to divide the hips divided by 4. Remember, I'm not using my bust. This is because and want this to be, by the time you use your hips to do this, it will give you the required amount of easing you need for the bust line. So I'm dividing that by 4. What I will get, I'm going to drop it on this armhole line. So I have 9.5 inches here. I'm going to drop it here, and then I'm going to go ahead and make the armhole curve. So to make the armhole curve, I will divide from here to here into 2, whatever I get. From there, I'm going to mark the curve to connect this place. Remember, I'm working on the back panel, so this is just drawing out the armhole curve for the back. We didn't have to make the shoulder for anything, but it's just for this armhole curve. That is why we made the shoulder sloping and all that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to come down to the waistline, and we're going to make a dart, waist dart for that. And this waist dart, again, we're not going to use it. We're going to transfer it to the back seam. But first of all, let me make the dart so that you understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to drop this up here. We are using bust span divided by 2, and that's what I mark here. Mine is 3.5. I'm going to mark it here and connect it. I'm going to make a dart on this line. So I'll go ahead and make 1 inch dart width on this line. Remember, I'm just making this dart just for you to know how we are going to take that out. I'm going to eliminate the dart later. To get the circumference of the waist, I'm going to take this and drop it down on the waistline, and I'm going to connect it. Then from the side seam of the waistline, I'm going to take away 1.5 inches here, and I'm going to connect it back to the armhole length. So now this side is not included. So next we're going to get the neckline. So to get the neckline, I'm going to come down from this shoulder line. I'm going to come down 6 inches. If you're on the plus size, you can come down 6.5 inches for the neck, but for me it's a small size, so I'm coming down 6 inches. So I'll just square this line out. So to draw the neckline of the crop, I'm going to come in 1.5 inches from this armhole. So just come in 1.5 inches and mark a new neckline. So I'm just going to a new armhole curve. So I'm just going to use my curve ruler and curve it like this. So now we have a new neckline, and the back bodice pattern is ready. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and we're going to cut the bodice pattern for the front. So I'll go ahead and use this one, trace it out on another pattern paper for the front panel. This is it after tracing it out. Next, we are going to determine the length of the wrap. I'll measure from my side seam to the center front. That's whatever that is. That is going to be for the wrap. But because I'm going to eliminate that here, whatever I get from my side seam, I'm going to minus 1 for that, and that will be for the wrap. So I have 8 inches. I'm going to minus 1 inches, which will make it 7 inches, and with that I'm going to eliminate this dart. So 7 inches will be for my wrap. So I'm going to come up here 3 inches on the side seam of the wrap top. To draw the neckline of the front, I'm going to come down on the center front. Remember, we have come down 6 inches for the neckline of the back. So I'll place the 6 inches there, and I'm going to just come down 10.5 inches depth for the neck depth of the front. You can decide to come down lower. Remember, this is the center front. So I'm going to connect this line to meet this neckline and also the wrap in front. So I'll just go ahead and connect it straight. just going to connect it straight first of all before I make a curve. If I want to decide, you can decide to make a curve here like this instead of making it straight. But first of all, let's work on the wrap, the v-neck, before we continue. So if you leave this like this, it's going to gape because it's a v-neck. So we're going to make a dart on that, on the neckline. So I'm just going to make like 1 inch dart on the neckline. So you can even make it 1.25, but I'm just going to make it 1 inch. That should be enough to take care of the gaping in front. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out, and I'm going to close the dart for the front. So I'll go ahead and redraw the neckline of the front. You can decide now to give it a curve, or you can still maintain this straight, but I'm just going to curve it like this, and I'm going to cut it out. After cutting this out, the back bodice pattern for the back and front are ready now, but we'll go ahead and do some other thing. We are going to eliminate the dart on the back. So I'm going to eliminate this here. I'm going to transfer it to the center back. So I don't want to be making a dart on the dress. So I'm going to just square this out. Is it squaring out or just making a straight line, so that that line, the back seam would be or it will be cut on fold. I'll just go ahead, remember this, all these places I've eliminated this and transferred it to the back. So just go ahead and cut that out. I'm going to mark this cut on fold so that you can cut it on fold. You can decide to cut it separately, but I'm going to cut mine on fold. So the back pattern and the front and back pattern are ready. We're going to go ahead and cut this out on the fabric. This is it after cutting it out. I've added sewing allowances to all of them. I'll go ahead to cut the sleeve. To cut the sleeve, I've folded my fabric in four like this. Can you see? 1, 2, 3, 4. That is for the two sleeves. And then for the width of the sleeve, I'm going to use the round arm measurement plus sewing allowance. So the sleeve is 10 inches. I add 1 inch sewing allowance, which will make it 11 inches. In fact, I have like 1 inch extra. I'll just leave it like that, and I'm going to use it like that. So the length I'm using is the full length of sleeve, which is 23 inches, and I added 2 inches for that, for the hemming and for the elastic casing. So I'll just place the back armhole curve to the side of the sleeve, the side that is not on fold. It's as simple as that. If you have been watching my off-shoulder tops and dresses, this is how I always cut the sleeve. So this is it after cutting it. So we'll go ahead and join this to sew it. So what I will do, this is the back. I'm just going to place this back like this, and I'm going to take the sleeve and join it to the back. Can you see what I just did? You sew it there, and you're going to go over to the other side and sew it. We are just sewing the back and the sleeve now. After joining the sleeve to the back, you go ahead and close this place so that you can pass elastic into this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back to you. As you can see, I'm done joining it. So this is the sleeve, this is the back, and this is the sleeve. I'll go ahead and pass elastic on this place. So I will use my safety pin. I'm going to pass elastic into that elastic casing. So I'll pass this here. What I usually do is I will just pass all the elastic. At the end of it, I will now draw it and check if the width of the elastic I'm using is gathered enough to what I want. So that's what I usually do. So I'll go ahead and pass this all around. This is it after passing the elastic. Can you see? I just used pin to hold it down here. So the next thing I would do is to join the front. I have gone ahead and hemmed the front. Can you see? I've hemmed it. I'll go ahead to join it to the back. So just go ahead and place it like this, and you're going to join it. After joining it, it should look something like this. This is it after joining the front. Can you see? Yeah, can you see how neat it is? Then the next thing I will do is to join the sleeve. Now this is the sleeve. I've gone ahead and hemmed the sleeve. Can you see? So for us to add elastic to the sleeve, I have gone ahead and marked from here to here 6 inches. As you can see, I don't know if you're seeing it, but from here to here 6 inches, I mark it all the way around. So I'm going to go to my machine now. I don't have any length in mind. I'll just go to my machine, place the elastic here, and as I'm drawing it, I'm sewing it. So make sure you draw it to the elastic limit. As you're drawing it, you're sewing it. By the time you're done, it should be, you know, gathering like that. So I'll go to the machine now and do that and come back and show you the next thing to do. I've gone ahead and closed the side seam, as you can see. Can you see I've closed it, and I've also hemmed the lower part. I've gone ahead and made a rope for this. Can you see? I just made a long rope. I'll go ahead and do that, and that will be the end of today's sewing tutorial. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.